Welcome to tonight's tranquil episode, The Cloud Garden, the Keeper of Stillness. Before we begin our gentle journey, take a moment to find a comfortable position, perhaps nestled into soft pillows or wrapped in a cozy blanket. Allow the weight of your day to slowly drift away as you settle in, feeling each breath become a little deeper, a little slower. As you listen to tonight's soothing story, imagine stress and tension dissolving from your body, melting away like mist beneath the morning sun. With every word, let your mind unwind, releasing worries and inviting peace to fill the space around you. Picture yourself stepping into a serene garden high among the clouds, where silence is cherished and every inhale is infused with calm. Let us begin this gentle voyage together, opening the door to stillness and serenity. Allow your imagination to wander freely, embracing the quiet magic that awaits in the cloud garden. Chapter 1: The Morning Ritual. As dawn gently unfurled its soft light, Myrella's garden stirred to life in a whisper of color. Delicate rays seeped through tender leaves, casting a golden glow that danced across floating terraces. Noma stretched slowly, her white hair catching the first warm beams and shimmering like spun silver. Her movements were gentle and deliberate, a quiet dance with the new day. She opened her eyes to the familiar symphony, the faint hum of hummingbird bees, the distant murmur of the wind, and the soft rustling of leaves greeting her. With a serene smile, she whispered, "Good morning, my dear friends," her voice a tender caress blending seamlessly with the morning air. Her words floated softly, as if speaking directly to the plants and spirits of her garden. Each responded in its own way, feather roots' delicate fronds unfurling, mist moss shimmering with dew, blue glass vines' translucent leaves catching the light, and humbark's sturdy branches swaying in quiet acknowledgement. She knelt beside her favorite clay seashell planter, etched with tiny, swirling patterns, reminders of countless seasons tending her cherished plants. Her fingers traced the carvings, feeling the coolness of the clay beneath her fingertips. She remembered how each plant had its own rhythm, its own song, a melody woven into her days. "You've all been patient with me, haven't you?" she murmured softly, her voice filled with affection. Her gaze lingered on a tiny sprout emerging from the soil, a new life, a testament to hope and patience. Noma's heart swelled with gratitude as she brushed her fingertips over the tender leaves, feeling the subtle pulse of life beneath them. She reflected on the years spent nurturing these beings, learning from their quiet resilience. Her smile deepened as she whispered, "You've taught me so much about patience, about listening." Her voice was barely more than a breath, yet it carried the weight of a lifetime of devotion. In that peaceful moment, surrounded by dawn's soft glow and whispering wind, Noma felt a profound connection to her plants, her garden, and the silent stories they shared. Her gaze drifted toward the northeast corner of her terrace, where an empty clay seashell planter sat like a silent guardian of her dreams. Its surface was smooth, save for faint etchings she had carved long ago, tiny swirling patterns and delicate symbols that told stories only she remembered. She gently brushed her fingertips over the rim, feeling the coolness of the clay, her eyes softening with longing and reverence. "Ah, my old friend," she whispered softly, her voice barely more than a breath carried by the breeze. Her words seemed to dissolve into the quiet air, blending with the whispering leaves. so many years spent searching for you. Her mind drifted to the countless mornings when she sought the elusive Whisperleaf, a flower said to bloom only where silence had long endured. It had become a symbol of patience and hope. She remembered her elders' tales of the flower's rare bloom in hidden corners of the world, its petals shimmering with a soft silvery glow in the stillness of night. "It's been a long journey," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. Her heart carried 50 years, each woven into her days, each step bringing her closer to that quiet miracle. Her eyes lingered on the empty planter, her fingers tracing the etched lines as if seeking clues from the past. "Perhaps it is time to find that silence," she whispered, a gentle resolve settling into her voice. The stillness around her seemed to hum in agreement, the garden's delicate symphony of whispers and rustles growing softer, more expectant. It was as if the earth listened, waiting for her next move, ready to reveal its secrets when the moment was right. A faint shiver ran through her, not from cold, but from deep, stirring hope. She drew a slow, deliberate breath, feeling her own quiet strength. "Yes," she said softly, her eyes shining with renewed purpose. "Tonight I will listen. Tonight I will seek the silence where the Whisperleaf blooms." Turning her gaze back to the empty planter, a gentle smile touched her lips, knowing her journey was about to begin anew. As the sky deepened into twilight, a gust of wind swept through Myrella's floating gardens, stirring leaves and causing petals to drift softly in the air. Noma stood quietly, sensing something extraordinary unfolding. Her gaze fixed on the northeast corner of her terrace, where an old, weathered pouch rested atop a small stone pedestal. Made of faded fabric worn from years of sun and rain, it carried a familiarity, like an old friend returning after a long absence. She stepped closer, her fingers trembling slightly as she reached out. The pouch felt soft and supple beneath her touch, and she caught the faint scent of earth mingled with something sweet, like dried honey. Her eyes traced the faint handwriting scrawled across its surface, her own faded handwriting, still legible. It was a note she had written 50 years ago, a quiet hope, a youthful longing, an unspoken promise to find the Whisperleaf someday. A shiver ran through her as she gently lifted the pouch, holding it close to her chest. "Oh, dear heart," she whispered softly, her voice thick with emotion. Memories flooded her, dreams of discovering the flower that bloomed only where silence had taken root, days wandering the floating gardens in search of that elusive bloom. She recalled stories of the Whisperleaf's rare bloom in places so still that even the wind dared not disturb them. Standing in the quiet hush of twilight, she felt a deep stirring, a gentle call from within her soul. The wind seemed to whisper back, carrying a message only she could hear. It was time. Time to listen again, to follow the faint trail of silence, and perhaps to finally find the flower she had sought for so long. A slow, knowing smile spread across her face. "The winds have chosen tonight," she murmured, her voice tender and sure. Her heart, heavy with memories and hope, felt lighter than it had in decades. It was as if the very air around her affirmed that her journey was not over, that the silence she longed for was waiting just beyond her memory's horizon. With a deep breath, she clutched the pouch close and whispered, "It seems the adventure is not over yet." Chapter 2. The Driftwinds. Noma gently adjusted the shimmering sails of her petal glider, her silver hair catching the first light of dawn as it spilled over the floating gardens of Myrella. The vessel, crafted from glider glass and woven wind reeds, shimmered with hues of lavender and coral, reflecting the sun's rays like a whisper of the sky itself. She ran her fingers along its smooth surface, feeling the steady pulse of the wind reeds beneath her fingertips, a heartbeat that had carried her through countless journeys. Softly, she sang a tune learned from her mother long ago, a melody of gentle breezes and blooming fields. Carefully, she arranged her supplies. Old tea tins filled with dried herbs and fragrant seeds nestled into the compartments of her glider, alongside pressed flower maps collected over the years. Each item was a memory, a fragment of a cherished moment. She paused, closing her eyes to draw a deep breath and stir the promise of adventure within her. "Today," she whispered softly, voice tinged with quiet excitement, "I shall let the wind guide me." Her words were almost a prayer, an affirmation of trust in the currents of the drift winds. As she lifted herself into the glider, the air around her seemed to awaken, alive with possibility. Petals rustled softly in the breeze, and the faint scent of jasmine filled her senses. With a gentle push, she launched into the sky, the sails catching the breeze and billowing behind her. Clouds welcomed her, drifting lazily as she glided through their fluffy embrace, each breath infused with rain-washed petals and the tender warmth of the sun. "Oh, how beautiful the sky is today!" Noma exclaimed, her voice carrying a note of wonder and gratitude. The drift winds carried her effortlessly, a gentle current lifting her higher, guiding her along a path woven from light and memory. In that moment, she felt the deep, quiet joy of being exactly where she was meant to be, floating between earth and sky, part of the endless dance of wind and wonder. As she drifted through the gentle currents, the landscape unfurled like a living tapestry of memories. The sky above shimmered with soft lavender and coral hues, glowing with the distant light of unseen suns. Floating bells, delicate and translucent, chimed softly as her glider approached, their gentle tinkles echoing like a familiar lullaby. "Ah, how I remember you," she murmured with a gentle smile, recalling the joyful day she spent with her dear friend Lyra, who used to dance beneath those bells, her laughter ringing clear and bright. Every waymarker she encountered seemed to tell a story, flowers slowly unfurling their petals in deliberate grace, lanterns swaying gently in the breeze, casting warm, flickering glows. Noma reached out, her fingers brushing the side of her glider, feeling the pulse of the wind and the subtle vibrations of the blossoms. "These flowers have witnessed our laughter and tears," she whispered softly as if greeting old friends. Her heart swelled with gratitude for these quiet witnesses to her journey. The wind, playful yet wise, whispered secrets in a language only she understood. It urged her to slow her pace, to savor each fleeting moment. "Look, dear Noma," it seemed to say, "there is no need to rush. Let each moment linger like the final notes of a song, sweet, unhurried, eternal." She closed her eyes briefly, allowing herself to be enveloped in the lullaby of the drift winds, feeling the soft caress of the breeze and the tender memories it carried. Every heartbeat and breath was a gentle reminder that she was exactly where she needed to be, floating in a realm where time flowed like a gentle stream, and each moment was a treasure to hold. Listening to the wind, Noma closed her eyes, surrendering to the gentle hum of the drift winds. The wind was alive, whispering softly like a lullaby sung long ago, carrying stories from distant skies. "Oh, my dear wind," she murmured, her voice blending with the delicate rustling of petals and the faint chime of floating bells. "What tales do you bring today?" Her travel plants responded to the breeze, some blooming in excitement, their colors deepening with each gust, while others curled inward, savoring the moment. Her fingertips brushed the side of her glider, feeling its pulse, a gentle throb matching her own heartbeat. It was as if the wind and her vessel shared a secret language, woven from memories and quiet understanding. "I remember the day we planted the mist moss," she whispered softly, a trace of nostalgia in her voice. That was many years ago, in the early spring of her 35th year, when her hands first coaxed life from damp earth. Her first apprentice, a bright-eyed girl named Lyra, loved gathering herbs at dawn, her laughter ringing clear as morning bells. Noma still saw her, cheeks flushed, eyes shining with wonder, as they worked side by side beneath the pale pink sky. The wind carried that memory gently, like a feather drifting on a stream. It was as if the sky itself cradled her stories, whispering them back in a soft, reassuring voice. Clouds drifted lazily above, shifting into familiar forms. An old friend's face, a favorite flower she once grew, a place she had long left behind. Time here seemed to stretch and bend, hours melting into moments, days folding into eternity. "I shall savor this journey," Noma said softly, her heart swelling with gratitude. She opened her senses wide, fully present in the drift winds, where every heartbeat was a thread woven into the tapestry of her long, gentle life. The wind, clouds, and memories intertwined, whispering that in silence, a sacred voice awaited to be heard. Chapter 3. Mystery of the Forgotten Island. Noma's eyes fluttered open to a sky unlike any she had ever seen. Instead of the familiar horizon of lavender and coral, she found herself cradled on her petal glider, drifting near a landscape that defied her memories of the world below. Her breath caught at the breathtaking sight. An upside-down island where trees grew downward, their roots reaching high into the sky to form a lush, tangled canopy above her. Raindrops, shimmering like tiny glass beads, floated upward, refusing to fall. Instead of descending, the droplets shimmered in the air, swirling softly around her in a delicate, eternal dance. The air was thick with the scent of moss and dew, a fresh, earthy aroma that wrapped around her like a warm shawl. Her heart swelled with awe, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years, pure, unfiltered wonder that made her feel small, yet profoundly connected to this vast mystery. She reached out a hand, fingers brushing the floating droplets, feeling their coolness and how they shimmered in the diffused light. It was as if the island itself was alive, whispering secrets only the quietest ears could hear. She paused, letting her gaze wander across the surreal landscape. The upside-down trees seemed to sway gently, their roots twisting upward like silent guardians. In the distance, she sensed a faint glow, a soft, inviting light emanating from a hidden grove. It called to her, a gentle pull stirring her curiosity and longing for discovery. Noma knew this was no ordinary place. It was a sanctuary, a sacred space where silence had lingered long enough for the rarest flower, the Whisperleaf, to bloom. She felt a quiet certainty that her journey had led her here for a reason, that this moment was part of a larger, unfolding story she was only beginning to understand. The gentle glow from the hidden grove beckoned like a whisper in her soul. As she stepped closer, the air shimmered with quiet magic, and she felt an almost imperceptible pulse, like the island's heartbeat. The trees here were unlike any she had seen. Their roots curled upward, twisting into delicate tendrils that reached toward the sky, forming a canopy of emerald and gold that shimmered in the surreal light. Raindrops floated lazily upward, defying gravity and reason, each catching the glow and casting tiny rainbows that danced around her. Noma paused, her breath catching as she drank in this otherworldly scene. It was as if the island had been waiting for her, guarding its secrets until the perfect moment. She reached out gently, her fingertips brushing the bark of a shimmering tree, feeling the coolness and the faint hum of life beneath. The air was thick with the scent of moss, damp earth, and a hint of floral, perhaps the elusive Whisperleaf itself just beyond her sight. A sense of familiarity washed over her, stirring memories of quiet mornings in her garden, of moments when she listened so intently that the world seemed to slow down. Here, amid the upside-down trees and floating rain, she felt a gentle reassurance that she was exactly where she needed to be. The island's silence was profound, yet spoke volumes of patience, waiting, and the deep peace that comes when one truly listens. In this sacred space, she knew her journey was nearing its end. She welcomed the stillness, letting it settle softly within her. In the quiet sanctuary of the upside-down grove, Noma drifted into a gentle reverie. The air shimmered softly, as if the earth itself whispered stories long kept hidden. Suddenly, vivid images blossomed in her mind, scenes from her past, each more tender than the last. She saw herself as a young girl, hands stained with herbal earth, sitting beside her grandmother beneath a sprawling fig tree. Her grandmother's warm, steady voice told stories of healing and patience. She remembered discovering a root that shimmered with a silvery glow, a moment that ignited her lifelong pursuit of the Whisperleaf. That memory filled her with quiet pride and a sense of purpose rooted deep within her heart. Then, a wave of bitter sweetness washed over her, her farewell with a dear friend, tears glistening in the sunlight as they parted ways, each carrying a piece of the other's spirit. She felt the ache of those goodbyes, the silent longing that lingered long after, yet also the warmth of the friendship that shaped her. Her heart swelled with gratitude for those connections, every moment of laughter, every quiet word of comfort shared. As she sat in this sacred space, Noma allowed herself to feel everything, the joy of her first healing success, the quiet ache of loss, the thrill of discovery. She didn't push away these sensations. Instead, she welcomed them, like a gentle breeze on a summer evening. Each was a thread woven into the fabric of her life, a testament to her journey. The island pulsed with profound peace, and in that stillness she understood. Her quest was not merely for the flower, but for acceptance of all that had come before. Every joy, sorrow, and moment of patience had led her here, to this place of deep understanding. She closed her eyes briefly, letting the memories settle like the drifting clouds above, knowing that in embracing her past, she was finally ready to meet the Whisperleaf in the silence it had long awaited. Chapter 4. A Bloom of Silence. Noma's hand moved softly toward the Whisperleaf, her fingers trembling as they brushed its delicate petals. It was unlike any she had seen, its surface soft and silken, shimmering faintly in the muted light, as if woven from moonbeams and quiet dreams. But it was more than its gentle beauty that captured her attention. As her fingertips made contact, a profound sensation rippled through her, as if the flower reflected her very soul. In that moment, Noma felt the weight of her years, every cherished friendship, every whispered goodbye, every silent hope resonate within the flower's tender embrace. It was as if the Whisperleaf had woven together the tapestry of her life, each thread shimmering with memories both bright and bittersweet. She closed her eyes, breathing softly, allowing herself to sink into the feeling. "Ah, dear Whisperleaf," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "You carry the weight of my heart." Her words lingered in the still air, mingling with the island's gentle hum. In that sacred moment, she understood that this flower was not merely a bloom of silence, but a vessel of her entire journey. Her struggles, her triumphs, her moments of joy and sorrow, all intertwined within its delicate petals. The sensation was warm and soothing, like the gentle touch of a long-lost friend. It brought a flood of memories. Her first fire flickering in the hearth 50 years ago, the laughter shared over steaming cups of tea in the garden, the quiet tears shed in solitude after farewells. Each one shimmered vividly in her mind, as if the Whisperleaf was whispering back, acknowledging every chapter of her life with gentle understanding. Her heart swelled with quiet gratitude. She realized that the flower was more than a symbol of her quest. It embodied her very essence, her patience, her acceptance, her resilience. It reminded her that even in silence, there was a language of feeling and connection, of being fully present in each moment. Sitting there, touched by the flower's silent song, she felt an unspoken peace settle deep within her, a gentle reminder that her journey, with all its quiet beauty, had finally found its resting place. Noma settled herself softly beneath the shimmering canopy of the Whisperleaf, its petals glistening like moonlit silk. The air around her was thick with gentle warmth, as if the island itself exhaled in quiet reassurance. She closed her eyes and took a slow, deliberate breath, feeling the cool breeze against her skin, carrying whispers of memories long held close. "It's all right," she murmured, her voice blending with the island's gentle hum. "I am here, and I am listening." Her fingers brushed lightly against the velvety surface of the flower, and in that simple touch, she felt an awakening, an unfolding of feelings she hadn't fully allowed herself to embrace before. The warmth of her first fire flickered in her mind's eye, a tender reminder of comfort and safety. She saw the faces of friends gathered around, their laughter echoing softly like a song carried on the wind. She remembered sharing tea with her teacher, her heart swelling with gratitude. Yet, alongside these memories, there was a gentle ache, the longing for those who had gone, the goodbyes whispered in nights long past. Each sensation washed over her, like a tender wave, sometimes tender, sometimes bittersweet. The island around her seemed to hold her close, its silent embrace a testament to understanding and acceptance. She felt the delicate pulse of the garden, the soft rustling of leaves, and the faint tremor of sorrow and joy intertwined. In that stillness, she realized these feelings, these threads of her life, were not burdens to carry alone. They were part of her, woven into the fabric of her being. "It's okay to feel," she whispered, her voice trembling with quiet acceptance. "I am here, and I am listening." As she sat quietly, her heart opening wider with each breath, she felt a gentle release, like a flower unfurling after a long night. The island's peaceful hum wrapped around her, a lullaby of understanding. In that sacred space of feeling, Noma found a profound peace, knowing that every joy and sorrow had shaped her into who she was, whole and complete in her quiet, gentle journey. Noma knelt softly in the mossy soil beneath the glowing canopy of the Whisperleaf. Its petals shimmered with a silvery light, as if holding the very essence of silence itself. She reached out, fingers trembling slightly, and brushed the delicate petals. The moment her skin touched the flower, a wave of sensations washed over her. Warmth, tingling, a deep sense of recognition. She closed her eyes, surrendering to the experience. Memories flickered like fireflies, her childhood laughter in her grandmother's garden, the quiet comfort of evenings tending herbs, the bittersweet farewell to a dear friend. Each memory unfurled like a ribbon, weaving into a tapestry of her life. The Whisperleaf seemed to cradle all these threads, gently reminding her of every joy and sorrow she had carried. "It's all right," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I am here, and I am listening." Her breath slowed and deepened as she released resistance. The garden pulsed with a peaceful rhythm, as if the earth and air embraced her in understanding. She felt the warmth of her first fire flickering in her mind, the glow that kept her company through many long nights. She remembered sharing tea with friends, their voices mingling like music in the breeze, and then a tender ache, the quiet sadness of farewells, spoken and unspoken. These feelings wrapped around her like a soft shawl, tender and comforting. Each sensation was a gentle current, guiding her deeper into acceptance. The presence of the Whisperleaf seemed to say, without words, that all these moments, bright and dark, were part of her story, woven into her being. She felt the weight of her years lift, replaced by quiet gratitude for her journey. In this sacred space, Noma allowed herself to feel everything, the laughter, the tears, the stillness. She understood these feelings were not burdens, but gifts, each a vital note in the song of her life. A gentle smile touched her lips as her heart opened and found peace. Chapter 5. Planting Peace. Noma glided effortlessly through the driftwinds, her petal glider whispering softly against the gentle currents. The sky around her was painted in shades of lavender and coral, with clouds drifting lazily, as if they, too, were savoring this quiet moment. Her heart felt light, buoyant with the fulfillment of a long-held quest. The winds seemed to carry their own quiet song, whispering tender nothings that wrapped around her like a warm shawl. "It's as if the skies themselves have conspired to bring me home," she mused softly, her voice barely more than a breath. Each breeze carried a memory, laughter from days gone by, tears shed in silent sorrow, moments of pure joy when she first discovered a new herb or shared a gentle word with a friend. The stories she had gathered over decades floated around her, woven into the fabric of the air. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the wind caress her face as if it understood her deepest feelings. In this tranquil realm, time felt different, slower, softer, more forgiving. She reveled in the sensation of the air wrapping around her, lifting her gently higher and guiding her onward. The landscape below shimmered with echoes of her past, each detail a reminder of lives touched and the quiet beauty she had cultivated in her garden. With a contented sigh, she whispered, "It's as if the skies themselves have conspired to bring me home." In that moment, she knew her journey was nearing its gentle end, her spirit at peace in the embrace of the drifting winds. As Noma guided her petal glider downward through the swirling drift winds, a quiet warmth settled over her, a gentle reassurance that her journey was drawing to a close. The winds, which had carried her across countless skies and memories, now seemed to hum a lullaby just for her, whispering of home and belonging. She closed her eyes briefly, savoring the cool air wrapping around her like a familiar shawl, each breeze carrying faint echoes of laughter, tears, and treasured moments. When her glider finally touched down in her garden, a peaceful stillness embraced her, as if the earth itself had been waiting patiently. The garden shimmered softly in the twilight, petals fluttering gently in the breeze, as if recognizing her presence. The familiar sights, the delicate glowing blooms, mossy stones, and arching vines, felt like old friends welcoming her back after a long voyage. Her gaze settled on the empty clay seashell planter in the northeast corner, where she had carefully placed the Whisperleaf earlier. With tender hands, she lifted the tiny seedling and gently pressed its roots into the soil, feeling the familiar resistance as they curled into the earth, seeking their new home. The moment the roots made contact, a subtle glow radiated from the soil, spreading outward like a warm pulse. The garden responded instantly. Colors deepened, leaves shimmered with renewed life, and the air grew thick with peaceful fulfillment. Noma's heart swelled with quiet joy. "Ah, my dear friend," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion, "you are home now." The Whisperleaf, nestled in the soil, seemed to breathe in harmony with her words, its delicate leaves unfurling slightly, as if settling into a long-awaited embrace. Around her, the garden seemed to breathe a sigh of contentment. Petals fluttered more freely, releasing a gentle perfume that filled the air with serenity. The soft glow from the plant cast a calming light over the greenery, illuminating the space with a tender, golden hue. It was as if the entire garden recognized this moment. Her return, her gift, her acceptance of the journey's end. Noma stepped back, her eyes shining with deep peace, knowing everything belonged exactly where it was meant to be. She whispered once more, "You are home now." Feeling the truth of those words settle deep within her, anchoring her in the gentle eternal rhythm of her beloved garden. The soft glow of twilight bathed Noma's garden in shades of lavender and gold, casting a peaceful shimmer over every leaf and blossom. She wrapped her shawl snugly around her shoulders, feeling its comforting weight, then settled into her old hammock. The gentle sway seemed to carry her into a quiet space of reflection, where time slowed and everything felt perfectly still. Looking up, she watched as the first stars began to twinkle softly, their light flickering like tiny whispers of the night. The air was filled with a delicate symphony, the rustling of leaves, the distant hum of the garden's gentle life, and the faint whisper of the wind. It was as if the garden itself was breathing in harmony with her, cradling her in a tender embrace. How serene it is, she thought, a gentle smile touching her lips, to know that all is as it should be. For a moment, she closed her eyes, sinking into the peaceful rhythm of the evening. Her heart was full, knowing her lifelong journey had led her here, to this quiet, perfect moment of completion. She whispered softly to the garden, "I have tended to each leaf, each bloom, and now I can rest." Her voice was barely more than a breath, carried away by the night breeze. The garden responded in kind, shimmering subtly in the fading light, as if it understood her words. The colors around her seemed more vibrant, more alive, each petal and leaf a testament to her care and patience. As the stars grew brighter, she felt a profound sense of peace settle deep within her. The stillness of her garden, the gentle lull of the evening, and her quiet heart wove into a perfect harmony. She closed her eyes once more, feeling the soft sway of the hammock cradle her into restful sleep. In that tranquil moment, she whispered into the night, "And so, the garden sleeps," her voice dissolving into the peaceful hush. "And so do I." Thank you so much for tuning in and spending your time with us tonight. If you'd like to help support the podcast and ensure we can continue bringing you more great content, it would mean the world to us if you could share this show with a friend or someone who might appreciate it. Word of mouth is one of the best ways to help our community grow. Additionally, if you have a moment, please consider leaving an honest rating or review for the show wherever you listen. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but also makes it easier for new listeners to discover what we're creating together. Thank you again for being part of our journey. Until we meet again on the next episode, wishing you a restful night and the sweetest of dreams.